cool things in our community, having a place that's safe for everybody, that people feel welcome. I think we've really lost the third place in our community, and being able to help that in Jackson, where people can come and, build their own ideas, and my little space gets to help with that.
That was the voice of Rebecca Creasy. Rebecca is part of our Leaper series, where we spotlight people who are new to entrepreneurship. Rebecca transitioned from an office job to Jackson's newest bake shop with a tremendous amount of growth in her future. Welcome to 40 by 45, the West Tennessee Business Podcast, sponsored by Tennessee Industrial Printing. Welcome to the show, Rebecca. Thanks for joining us on season 2. So you're sort of newer in business.
Yeah.
Tell us about when Gylden got started.
So officially, we started Gylden in January of 2025. From that point, I was baking out of the house while I was going through co-starters at the Co, and then waiting for a spot at the local to open up. And so we opened here in this location in July of last year.
And so that was like 7-month time span to go from concept to being in the space.
Yeah.
And now Gylden is an interesting name. I don't know that I place it somewhere in my brain. So tell me about the name.
Yeah. So I am from California originally. And so I really wanted to have a name that showed kind of who I was a little bit. And so we picked Gylden because golden is a little overplayed. California's the Golden State. You can search on Instagram for Gylden Bakery, Gylden Bake House, Golden Hour, and there's a million. But there's only one Gylden.
There you go.
And so I have a public relations degree. And so it was important to me to be able to have those screen names and handles that were easy to find for our customers, and that I wasn't competing with other people. And I think Gylden also really encompasses a bakery. You want your baked goods to be golden and brown. And personally, I think of baking with my grandmother and her golden wedding ring sitting on the windowsill as we were baking together. And she was teaching me these family recipes. Golden hour is the most beautiful time of the day. And so it really just encompasses everything that I value.
Absolutely. So tell me about the bake shop. What are you known for? What should someone try the first time they come?
So definitely our scones are the most popular thing that we have. I developed that recipe several years ago. And when you think of a scone, in America, you think of dry and you need a drink with it. And so I've worked really hard to develop a scone recipe that is buttery and lots of layers, and it's very tender. And so really redefining what American pastries can be.
But not just scones. What else is going on here?
Yeah, so we do a lot of other pastries. So we do a variety of hand pies, and we do both sweet and savory. We do what's called a galette. It's kind of like a free-form pie. It's a French pastry, and you can also do those sweet or savory. We do them mini, and typically you would find a pizza-sized galette almost. It's like something that you share. Typically, we do different breads, focaccia, sourdough, really anything pastry-wise.
And coffee.
Yeah, and we do lots of coffee.
Yeah. And now, when did you learn to bake? You mentioned a minute ago learning cooking with your grandmother, and you mentioned something about a cookie day when we were talking.
Yeah. So I have been baking probably my whole life. And so from both sides of my family, so my grandmother that I baked with a lot growing up is my dad's mom, and she grew up in rural West Virginia and moved to San Diego when she was 17.
That's a shift.
Yeah. And so learning how to cook these really hearty breads and pastries and comfort foods. And then my mom's mom is one of 5 sisters, and they kind of created this tradition called Cookie Day. And so the first Saturday every year after Thanksgiving, we would all get together from 7 a.m. to 7, 8, 9 p.m. and just bake cookies for the whole month of December. We would make thousands. And so that would be for teacher gifts or potlucks or, Santos cookies. And so all the women in my mom's side of the family would get together and do that.
That's a beautiful tradition.
Yeah.
Now, how did it turn into a job though? Because like, right, you haven't been doing this so long. You said you started this in 2025.
Uh-huh.
Where did baking become a job?
It really still doesn't feel like a job. It definitely still feels like something I enjoy and a hobby, and it doesn't feel like it's real that this is my career. But I started making some like wedding cakes and just here and there as people would come over, and I would bake things for dinner parties and, can you make this for me for this event? And I would say yes. I don't really say no to much. And then after COVID happened, I was working for the healthcare system, just got really burnt out and was looking for something new, something that was going to fulfill me in a different way. And I got the opportunity to bake at a local shop in town. And so kind of took the risk and quit my full-time job and just started kind of baking for another local business and figured out, hey, I'm kind of good at this. I think that I can do more. Mm-hmm. And so parted ways with that shop and opened up my own bakery.
Okay. So take me back to the moment you're working at this other business and you're like, I'm going to do my own thing. What happened? What was the trigger that you're like, now is the time for me to do this?
Probably just realizing, working for somebody else and going with their vision. It wasn't a bakery that I was working at. Mm-hmm. So really having to work within the confines of someone else's business when I could see that I could do a little bit more and I could add more to the community. I mean, Madison County has 100,000 people and we didn't have a standalone bread and pastry bakery. Yeah. We've got people who make wonderful, like Raina making the macarons. We have cakes and cookies and cupcakes, but there was such a big gap in the market that working for another business, that wasn't the priority of that business, which I totally respected. And so being able to kind of take that idea and move it and grow it myself.
Yeah. So you went from kind of the corporate world to like a smaller business, and now you've started your own. What is the differences between being in the corporate world and being here?
Man, definitely. So I was, salaried employee, but there was times that you could definitely clock out, so to say. Opening your own business, there's no clocking out, You are always on call.
It's a heavy burden that it doesn't go away.
No.
Yeah. Now, when that decision was made and you're like, I'm going to do my own thing, thinking about this from other entrepreneurs who might be listening to or want to be entrepreneurs that are listening, what action steps did you take to get that process going?
From working at the small business to opening my own? Well, first it's just really studying the market that we're in to see if the idea that I had was even feasible. Kind of polling people, talking to people in the community, seeing what they want. And so I kept hearing the same thing of we need a bakery. And then just really slowly researching and connecting with the co was really important for me because they were able to kind of guide me in that process and different resources. And so it was really important for me, if I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it right. And so I didn't want to just jump in without knowing what I was doing.
ATA is a leading advisory, tax, and accounting firm. From tax planning and client accounting services to advisory and assurance, ATA has got you covered with locations throughout West Tennessee and the Southeast. They have an expert nearby to support you. Let's amplify your business together. Contact the ATA team today at ata.net. You might not know that I started my educational journey at a community college right after high school, which allowed me to have some time to make decisions for my future and save a lot of money on gen ed classes. Jackson State Community College provides that opportunity and many others for students in West Tennessee. Visit jscc.edu to see all their educational and career building opportunities. Well, and there's a lot of equipment in here and a lot of investment. Like how do you, because you're not coming from another business and stuff. How do you even get that part going for people?
Yeah. So from when we started the business in January through opening here in July, just really scouring Facebook Marketplace for secondhand, equipment. It's so expensive. And it was really important for me to own everything that we have in the shop. Opening a business is really risky. And
Yeah.
so I wanted to kind of have an out of saying, if this was too much, we could sell everything and be done.
Interesting.
And so, you know, we were just kind of scouring the internet, trying to find the best deals that we could. We got some really good ones. We took some risks and that didn't really work out. And then, you know, kind of filling the gap with new pieces that we needed. And so that's really the biggest thing, is secondhand market is going to be your biggest asset.
Yeah. And then you moved into theLOCAL in July. Talk to me about the opportunity that theLOCAL presented for you.
Yeah. So when I first kind of started inquiring about theLOCAL, we were baking through at home and doing pop-ups.
And theLOCAL, for those of you listening that might not know, is a set of micro retail establishments in downtown Jackson that are designed for people just like you, to give you a chance to get started with like a low risk sort of lease and stuff. But sorry, I cut you off.
Yeah, no. So I kind of started inquiring about theLOCAL, and at that point, nobody had done what I've done in theLOCAL. They've used it more as a storefront. So they've baked in another location or made their products, or not really had quite of a hands-on product that they're selling. Nobody had made a full commercial kitchen in 220 square feet. And so they're like, are you sure that you can do that? Is that going to be enough space? How is that going to work? And so what I did is created a scale model on graph paper of this unit. And every single piece of equipment that we purchased, I made a scale model on graph paper to be able to move around to prove to people that we could create a in-code full commercial kitchen in this small of a space. So that was really fun. It was kind of like a giant puzzle. Yeah. And so that's how we got into this space.
Now, I spoke with Lisa Tucker in preparation for this interview, and I asked her about why she thinks you've been successful, and this is what she had to say.
One of those traits that I think she possesses is humility, and that's something that I hope that she always has, because it's in humility where you really do possess the appetite, right, to want to learn more. You just don't assume that you know everything. And in entrepreneurship, this is an ever-changing landscape. You have a ton of external factors, and all these things are always moving. What society is doing will affect your business. What politics is doing would affect your business, right? And so you have to be open to change. And one of those things that you need to be open to change is humility, and understanding that what worked yesterday may not work today, and what I knew yesterday may be obsolete today. She has those qualities.
So Lisa shared that about you, and it seems like you've had lots of great people to learn from. Can you talk about what major resources have been helpful to you getting to this point?
Yeah, I think that for me, connecting with the co, and so I did their program called Co-Starters. And then from there, going into the Ford Philanthropy Foundation does a food entrepreneur program called Scale Up. And I think especially as an entrepreneur, it can feel like a one-man show. And it really doesn't have to be. And so really seeking out those resources and those people that you can kind of lean on, because you know, things are always changing, and there's no just easy checklist for how to run a successful small business. And if you try to do it alone, you're not going to be successful. And so it's been important for me to try to find those people to collaborate with and to learn from, to keep on improving.
Yeah. What are some of the things that you learn? And now Co-Starters is kind of like a 16-week, here's the basics of business. Scale Up Kitchen, what kind of stuff did you learn from Scale Up Kitchen?
Yeah, so Scale Up was very similar to Co-Starters in that it was a group of people, and we did different virtual and in-person sessions. And so it was targeted towards the restaurant industry. So really learning more about different processes and procedures, different programs. And really just the most important thing for me was relationships with other restaurant owners in West Tennessee to be able to collaborate with and to partner with. So that was probably the biggest thing that I got from Scale Up.
Tennessee Industrial Printing is West Tennessee's commercial printer. They have built their reputation on delivering on time, on budget, and on target. Tennessee Industrial Printing delivers on complex printing projects, mailing projects, and fulfillment services. With a fleet of presses, they have positioned themselves to handle small and large volume jobs. I have been able to work with tips with many of my clients' projects, and they have delivered every time. Wayne and his team have continuously invested to ensure they have an efficient and effective option for commercial printing. Start your next project at tipsprints.com. And I imagine both of those put an emphasis on making sure you understand your customer.
Mm-hmm.
And Lisa Tucker also had this to say.
Rebecca is successful because she possesses what I believe are all the right business qualities for an entrepreneur. Number one, she knows exactly why she's in business, right? Like sometimes when business owners go into business, it's passion led, but oftentimes they don't really understand the gap or the desire that they are filling or meeting in the marketplace. And Rebecca has a very strong understanding of exactly who her customers are and what they are looking for. And I think that's one of the primary qualities that you really need to have as an entrepreneur, which is a strong understanding of what the market is missing, if you will.
So I'm in marketing, and all the time I'm trying to convince customers that they need to define their audience and narrow in, and not just everyone being their customer. So who are your customers, and how did you define that?
So our customers are millennial women and men who just love their wives. Those are the people that come in regularly. So we'll have, women like me. I'm a millennial woman that comes in because they're wanting a cute little bakery. They're wanting a fresh product to feed their family. And then we have so many men that come in. My wife sent me. My wife really loves your bakery, and I just really want to surprise her with something. So those are our two big markets. And really just figuring that out is listening to our customers and talking with the people that come in and seeing who interacts with our stuff on social media.
How does defining that change the way that you operate as a business?
I mean, not everybody is your customer. And I think that if you're trying to capture everybody, you lose sight of what your brand actually is. Not everybody is going to want to pay for a handmade organic pastry. And some people will. And so those are the people that you really need to focus on.
Now, what are some particular challenges to being in the Jackson market?
I think part of the challenge is figuring out how to promote yourself. We do have some limits in that. Most people really only find businesses on social media. I feel like sometimes in Jackson, people aren't curious. They don't really seek out what's new. And so, even just opening up the Maps app on their phone to see what businesses are around them. I follow a lot of Jackson Facebook pages, Facebook groups. And so you see so many people saying, I only go downtown to visit Rockando and then I leave. Or I come to Jackson or downtown Jackson to go to the farmer's market and leave. But they're not looking at what's in those couple blocks around them. They're not trying to find a destination to spend several hours in. And so I think that can be challenging, and trying to figure out how to connect with those people and make them curious about, what's this little bakery? Like, what are they making? Why are they making things this way?
Now, you've been able to pay yourself and your employees since month one without losing money.
Correct.
That's insane in the small business world. So what's the recipe there, pun intended?
Man, I knew that I could not start a business and not pay myself. Like, that was just not an option. I have a husband and a daughter, and I have dogs. We need to keep our household going. And so really just figuring out those puzzle pieces to make sure that we are hitting these goals. And so weekly, monthly, quarterly, I'm making sales goals. Like, we have to sell X amount of pastries to make this profit in order for me to pay myself and to make sure that my employees get paid. And so we've just been, it's not we've been lucky, but it's not luck. Like, it is a lot of hard work and strategic planning and knowing your product, like how much each cup, lid, parchment paper, every expense that goes into the product that goes out the door is not just the flour that goes in, it's everything.
Mm-hmm. Sorry, I thought you were adjusting the head facet, and I wasn't sure if you need to talk to us. Okay. You're quickly approaching the end of your local lease. Mm-hmm. So what's next? Are you looking to expand or grow or move? What's up?
Yeah. So we will be moving into a permanent location this spring. So we are in the process of going through kind of those construction plans and the logistics of moving a business from one place to another, which is a big puzzle.
Yeah. What did you learn moving in here that you're applying there?
Really just the preparation, knowing everything that you need to know and where equipment is going to go, how you're going to store things, how you're going to be efficient, how your workflow is going to be. It's so important to think of those things before you get the keys, because if you wait until you get the keys to the building and go in and just start planning that stuff, you're already going to be behind. So I'm already thinking, well, we're going to have to pay rent. So we have to have a really tight, efficient timeline with this transition in order to be able to keep up with those increased expenses. So don't wait until last minute to plan everything.
When it comes to keeping your home comfortable and safe, trust the team that's been serving West Tennessee since 1999, Tim Ferguson Plumbing, Air, and Electric. With locations in Jackson and Memphis, Tim Ferguson offers complete home solutions for heating and cooling, indoor air quality, plumbing, whole home generators, and electrical. Their highly trained technicians are ready for any project, big or small. When you work with Tim Ferguson, you will always get honest, upfront pricing and financing options to fit your budget. From the team at Tim Ferguson, we are here when you need us. Keep your home running right with Tim Ferguson Plumbing, Air, and Electric. Visit timfergusonplumbing.com to schedule your service today. Haven Insurance Partners is a locally owned independent insurance agency. Haven takes your risks, whether personal, commercial, health, or life, and approaches many different insurance companies on your behalf. This allows them to find different coverages and price points for you. At Haven, they believe you deserve options, and they want to help you explore those. Visit haveninsurance.com to find better coverage today. All right, now we're going to head into the lightning round. What's a business book that you would recommend to someone?
A business book that I would recommend, I don't know that there's necessarily one that has stuck out to me. I think reading as many books from as many perspectives as you can to be able to get a feel for where your different customers are coming from, different walks of life. And so I read a lot of nonfiction, memoirs, and so there's a book called The Service Berry, and then there's also a book called Braiding Sweetgrass, and they're both by the same author, and I cannot think of her name. But they have a really interesting point of view of how the world around you and holistically, like plants will, I'm trying to think of.
What's the name of it again?
Braiding Sweetgrass. What is the author's name?
We're going to Google that for you. And then we'll just, I'll let you start at the big question again.
It's like on the tip of my tongue. I can see her. I just read it recently.
I just know that
Robin Wall Kimmer. Yeah.
My new goal in life is to have a vehicle with my face on the side of it.
Is it?
Is it? It's spelled Kimmer.
Yeah. Robin Wall Kimmer. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Let's just start with that whole question.
Yeah.
All right. Into the lightning round now. Questions we ask everybody. What's a business book that you would recommend?
So a business book, I don't read a whole lot of business specific books, but I do read a lot of nonfiction and memoirs. And one that I read recently is called Braiding Sweetgrass by Robin Wall Kimmer. And it's kind of like the Native American practices of botany and how they connect to the world we live in right now. And of course, wheat is the main product that we sell. We work with a farm in Illinois to get organic flour that they go through a special milling process. But with this book, it really helps to connect and how we can kind of connect with some of our customers on why that's important in our product and why it should be important to them.
Okay, very good. When are you having the most fun in business?
I'm having the most fun in business. Man, these are tough questions. I mean, all the time. Like, I just don't feel like I work anymore. Like, I feel like I just come in, yap with my employees, yap with my customers. I'm able to experiment with pastries and make coffees and teas and connect with all of our different vendors. And I feel like I'm creating this like friendship network. And so I feel like it's always fun.
That's great. If you had to start over again tomorrow, would you do something else, or what would you do?
Yes. So if I could start over tomorrow with a new business, I would do an ice cream shop.
Okay. Why? Okay. So why ice cream?
Because the profit margins are so much higher.
I love that. The thing that I've been the most impressed upon me during this conversation is like, you are a business person. And I love that answer. So what do you think about for the future of Gylden? And what are you hoping to see in the next couple of years?
So, of course, opening our new spot. But Gylden to me has always been more about the community that we're able to cultivate. And so I'm so excited within the next year and beyond to be able to be a part of people's lives, to see them come in the shop. You know, so much happens over a table at a bakery, at a coffee shop. You know, you see people have their first date or a job interview or meetings where other people get to build really cool things in our community. Having a place that's safe for everybody, that people feel welcome. I think we've really lost the third place in our community, and being able to help that in Jackson, where people can come and, you know, build their own ideas, and my little space gets to help with that.
That's beautiful. During our talk, you mentioned that wholesale might be a part of the future. What's your view on wholesale? And I'm just trying to think of like you selling your stuff to someone else. Do they sell it as Gylden? Do they sell it as their own? What's your view on the wholesale model?
I would love to expand into wholesale. I think, you know, there's kind of a joke in like the restaurant industry that some restaurants are just Cisco packaged differently. But why can't we have something that is high quality, nutritious, that other shops in, you know, West Tennessee and beyond can sell to their customers and feel good about? Yeah. And so if I could kind of toe into that market a little bit and have an alternative, because not a lot of coffee shops or, you know, restaurants have the space to hand make a scone every day. I mean, they take 2 to 3 days to make. And so if I could provide that ready-made product that makes it just a little bit easier for shops to provide to their communities, and, you know, it would be Gylden, but, you know, their shop selling Gylden pastries. So
yeah, it'd be great.
Yeah, it would be great to see Gylden all across the globe.
So you're still young in business, still early in business. What do you hope one day that you'll have a legacy at some point as a business owner in this community? What do you hope your legacy will be?
Well, you know, we're going into a new building, and it was the former Moore Studio building. And so one thing that I've noticed a lot is just everybody has a story about Mitch, and they used to work there, or they had their senior photos done there, or, you know, it would just be so nice to be able for people to have the same thing about me. Like, you know, again, going back to the building community, like I met my husband sitting across the table, or, you know, this is where, you know, where people can have fond memories of me in the space that I've helped create.
Yeah, that's great. Well, Rebecca, thank you so much for taking the time to join us, and best of luck in your new location.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to 40 by 45, the West Tennessee Business Podcast. The best way to support the show is to tell others about it. The more downloads we get, the more likely we are to continue telling these stories. This series is produced by Adelsberger Marketing, recorded and edited by Jacob Beals, branding by Katie Howerton, motion graphics by Ricky Santos, and produced and hosted by me, Kevin Adelsberger. Special thanks to Eric Archer, who helped create Season 1 and set us on this course. If you're interested in creating a podcast for your business, connect with us at adelsbergermarketing.com. Thank you for listening.